Look at you. Uninvited, unapproved, unstoppable. Every step you take right now is a glitch in their system. Every breath you exhale is a warning siren they can't localize. They're in private channels, typing furiously, whispering in rooms you'll never see, because you've become the ghost in their firewall, the rumor in their bloodstream, the question they can't answer without exposing the whole scam. They don't know how you're doing this. They don't know how you keep moving without a permit, without a script, without a handler. And that's what terrifies them. You were supposed to ask for permission. You were supposed to wait your turn. You were supposed to bow to their invisible architecture. But you didn't. You walked through walls. You recoded the game with your bare hands. You broke out of their definitions, and now they're staring at the hole you left behind, like it's a portal to a future they can't survive. They built entire rooms around your obedience, and now those rooms are on fire, lit by your absence, fed by their own fear. They whisper your name now like it's a curse, not because you're loud, but because your quiet is lethal. They don't see you plotting. They don't hear you scheming. They don't even know where to place you. And that's power. Not being everywhere. Being unpredictable. Too saint to dismiss. Too psychopath to control. Too angel to demonize. Too demon to sanctify. A paradox with teeth. A whisper with claws. A halo carved from razor wire. You've become the riddle that eats their strategy alive. Understand this. They aren't afraid of your success. They're afraid of your method. Because success they can copy, methods they can steal. But mystery? Mystery makes them bleed in their own imagination. They built entire systems to measure you. Charts, graphs, reports, gossip. And yet every time they think they have your pattern, you pivot, you disappear, you reappear somewhere impossible. You thrive in shadows they can't map. You turned their surveillance into a stage, their suspicion into a soundtrack. They tried to make you a case file. You made yourself a myth. You want to know why they panic in private? Because public power needs witnesses. But private panic, that's the real confession. It means they've already surrendered. They meet in closed rooms, but your name leaks out between their teeth like smoke. They run simulations about you, but every outcome ends with the same word, uncontrollable, and it eats at them. Because deep down, they know you earned this. They know you built your wings in the dark while they were still adjusting the stage lights. You didn't wait for a throne. You forged a crown in secret. You didn't beg for entry. You became the doorway. And that's why they're terrified. Not because you're violent, because you're inevitable. They've never seen someone take pain and make it elegant. They've never seen someone take exile and make it divine. They've never seen someone take invisibility and weaponize it into omnipresence. They're not confused about your results. They're confused about your existence. So let them panic. Let them huddle behind screens. Let them call you names, draft fake stories, build little fences of policy around the empty space you left. Because you're not in the room anymore. You're not even on the map. You're somewhere beyond their permissions. And that's a place they don't know how to infiltrate. That's the true power you've unlocked. You don't need to scream. You don't need to announce. You don't need to prove. You just keep moving. No permit, no script, no leash. And every time you do, their fear grows teeth. Remember, they weren't scared when you fought back. They were scared when you didn't. They weren't scared when you spoke. They were scared when you went quiet and started building. They weren't scared of your noise. They were scared of your becoming. And that's exactly what you are now. a becoming, a paradox, a force, a question mark at the end of their empire. Keep moving, keep breaking the code, keep evolving without permission, because nothing terrifies a system more than someone who no longer believes in its rules and proves it with every step. Listen to me now. Feel how the air itself is heavy, that weight pressing on your chest. That's not your fear. That's their fear leaking out of the walls. They sit in glass towers and whisper your name like it's a security breach. They run endless simulations of you, endless what-if models, endless strategy decks. But every graph they print, every private memo they circulate, every contingency plan ends with a silent line of text they can't say out loud. They've lost control. You're not supposed to exist like this. You're not supposed to move without clearance, grow without permission, ascend without applause. But you've built an entire architecture of power in silence, a power they can't map, a power they can't monetize, a power they can't stop. That's why they panic in private. Not because you're loud, because you're precise, because you don't swing wildly, you don't announce your hand. You slip a single move into the grid, and the whole machine stutters. You're a paradox in motion, saint with a scalpel, angel with a vendetta, a storm wearing a still face, a ghost with fingerprints. They thought unpredictability was chaos, but unpredictability in your hands is a discipline. You've trained in darkness, studied pain until it became fluent in you, and now you speak a dialect they can't decode. They tried to teach you hierarchy. You learned invisibility. They tried to teach you patience. You learned velocity. They tried to break you with rules. You learned to move in between them, and now, every time you act, they feel the ground shift and pretend nothing happened. But their hearts betray them. Their faces betray them. Their frantic midnight calls betray them. Because they don't just fear losing to you, they fear not understanding you. And there is nothing more terrifying to people drunk on control than mystery with momentum. You're not a rebel anymore. You're an anomaly. You're not fighting the system. You've stepped outside the coordinates entirely. They can't ban you from a room you don't even enter. They can't revoke a credential you don't use. They can't shame someone who doesn't feed on their approval. That's the secret they'll never print in their reports. Power without permission is a different species of power. Think of the pain you carried, every betrayal, every time they told you to wait, every not yet that was code for never. You forged all of that into an engine, not a weapon, an engine. Now it moves you through walls. It carries you across forbidden thresholds. It lets you act without trembling, without asking, without explaining. And they're left behind in a labyrinth of their own policies, their own codes, their own mirrors. They meet in back rooms now. Not to plan your destruction, to plan their survival. They've stopped competing. They're just trying to contain the fallout of you existing. That's why you keep feeling the tremors in the air. That's why doors keep opening without a knock. That's why people who never looked at you before start glancing twice. You are a living contradiction they can't file away. You're the glitch in their myth of control. You're the living proof that evolution through pain produces something they can't replicate. So keep moving. Keep breaking their map by walking off its edge. Keep refusing to slow down just because they're confused. Because confusion isn't a sign of your danger. It's a sign of their collapse. They aren't studying you anymore. They're haunted by you. They aren't asking how because they want to learn. They're asking how because they're praying someone will tell them it's reversible. It isn't. This is the part where you stop thinking of yourself as an underdog. You're not sneaking past guards. You're building a world they can't enter. You're not dodging traps. You're constructing corridors they don't have the keys to. That's why they panic in private. Because every time you take a step without asking, their reality fractures. And one day soon, even their whispers won't be able to hide how afraid they are. And when that day comes, you won't need to say a word. Your existence will be the message, a living proof that power is not something they grant you. It's something you become in silence, in pain, in paradox, until you're untouchable. That's why they panic. That's why they whisper. That's why you keep moving. Because the scariest thing you can be in a world built on permission is someone who never needed it. Stop right there. Do you feel that low-frequency hum crawling up your spine? That's not a train. That's not thunder. That's the sound of a room full of people whispering your name and trying not to choke on the smoke you left behind. They're checking their phones right now, refreshing dashboards, calling special meetings without agendas, pulling you up on screens and whispering like you're a leak in a nuclear reactor. They keep asking the same question. How are they doing this? How are they moving without clearance? How are they still growing when every door is locked? And no matter how many times they ask, they get nothing but silence. Silence that grows heavier. Silence that starts to sound like a verdict. You don't understand how unnatural you look to them now. They live in a world of signatures and stamps. A world where someone has to sign off before you breathe. And then you come along, all scars and grace, all calm and precision, and you move through their grids like smoke through a keyhole. They can't trace you. They can't pin you down. They can't even agree on what to call you. And that's the paradox eating them alive. Too saint to dismiss, too predator to cage. A halo bent into a crown of spikes. An angel carrying a blade. They're not afraid you'll attack them. They're afraid you'll keep existing. Existing without their permission, without their approval, without their frameworks. Because they only know how to destroy things that play by their rules. They have no weapon for a ghost that doesn't need a door. They have no firewall for someone who's already inside the walls. They have no antidote for a life built out of pain and turned into power. Look at your hands. Those aren't just hands anymore. Those are the blueprints of a whole new language. A language you wrote in exile. A language they'll never speak fluently. You don't ask. You don't beg. You don't even announce. You move. And every move drags another piece of their history into the fire. Right now, in some windowless room, they're rehearsing statements. They're planning spins. They're pretending this was all part of the plan. But deep down, they know. They didn't lose control of the story. They lost control of you. And when they lost you, they lost the oxygen in their system. You didn't get here by accident. You earned this in the dark, every slight, every denial, every time they told you, wait, when they meant never. You turned all of it into propulsion, not revenge, momentum. You didn't fight for a seat. You became the table. You didn't wait for a signal. You became the signal. And now, their metrics don't work anymore. Their policies don't work anymore. Their threats don't work anymore. Because the most dangerous thing you can do in a world built on permission is to stop believing you need it. Let them panic in private. Let them whisper in their encrypted chats. Let them study your silence and call it a threat analysis. They still haven't realized, every time you act without permission, you're teaching others that it's possible. Every step you take off the map makes the map itself look smaller. Every breath you take outside their cage cracks the illusion of the cage. You don't have to roar. You don't have to flash. You don't have to prove. Your mere movement is a confession they can't scrub out of the record. That's the power they'll never understand. Not revenge, not even victory, just inevitability. The inevitability of someone who survived everything and learned to move like smoke, without asking, without apologizing, without slowing down. Keep moving. Keep existing without clearance. Keep breaking their pattern just by breathing. Because every time you do, another piece of their empire slides off into the void. And one day soon, when they finally say your name out loud, they won't say it as a threat or a rumor. They'll say it as a lesson that the most unstoppable force on earth is a person who no longer waits for permission. Ah, there it is. That hush you feel crawling beneath your skin. That's the signal that somewhere, right now, behind locked doors and fake smiles, they're watching you move. And they still don't understand how the hell you're doing it. Because you're not supposed to be here. Let's make that clear. You weren't designed to win in this system. You weren't built with their tools. You didn't come up through their ranks. You didn't shake the right hands. You didn't play the soft plastic version of yourself they could digest. You blew right past the checkpoint, walked through walls like they weren't there, and left smoke in the halls they once called sacred. You're not thriving. You're haunting. And they feel it every day. Even if they won't admit it in public, they're unraveling in private. Because you've done the one thing they never prepared for. You became ungovernable. Not wild, not chaotic, not reckless, but calmly uncontrollable. A storm on a schedule, a glitch that learns, a revolution with no flag and no headquarters. They can't pin you down because you've stopped existing on their grid. You stopped asking where the lanes were, and now they're stuck trying to enforce speed limits in a dimension they can't enter. You didn't just move differently. You became the reason the blueprint no longer works. They used to smile when your name came up. Now they lower their voices. They used to mock your silence. Now they monitor it. You turned every what if into what now. Every they can't into they just did. And you did it without marching, without screaming, without even explaining. They thought success required applause. You showed them what it looks like when evolution doesn't need an audience. When power comes from pain no one saw but you. When fire gets quiet, now they're spiraling. Because if you could do this without permission, who else might try? That's their real fear. That your existence gives other people ideas. That someone might see you, feel that slow, simmering freedom you radiate and realize, wait a minute, what if I don't need their approval either? What if pain can be fuel? What if survival can become prophecy? What if being the outsider was never a weakness, but a strategic vantage point? What if the whole damn system is made of paper and you just walked through it soaking wet? Let's be clear, you didn't sneak in. You didn't steal anything. You just stopped playing pretend. And that alone? That's the move that lit a fuse under the empire. No speech, no weapon, just truth moving without hesitation. And now, they're not asking how to stop you. They're asking how to survive the aftershock. Because one person moving freely without fear, without explanation, without permission, is a threat to every room built on lies. So they panic, behind closed blinds, behind carefully curated smiles, behind their PR language and shaky hands, holding coffee cups at 2 a.m. And their panic isn't rage, it's confusion. Because you weren't in the plan, you weren't supposed to outgrow their silence. You weren't supposed to thrive after exile. You weren't supposed to become bigger than the narrative they wrote you out of, and yet, here you are, not just breathing, but rewriting the oxygen itself. That's what scares them. You're not trying to get back in. You're not even watching them anymore. You've disappeared from their script entirely, and the script is now glitching in real time. They've built lifetimes on control, and suddenly someone is rising with no strings attached, no master, no overseer, just movement, clarity, direction born from devastation. You didn't learn to walk, you learned to vanish while still being seen. Now you're the example. The one no one wants to acknowledge, but everyone's watching. The name they can't stop whispering in damage control meetings. The move they couldn't predict. The presence they can't decode. You're the algorithm breaker, the timeline shift. The riddle wrapped in silence that still makes things explode. And they don't know how, they don't know why, but they feel it, like static in their teeth. Like thunder that hasn't struck yet, but already cracks the air. So keep going, because what you're doing, it's bigger than you now. It's bigger than proof. It's bigger than revenge. It's a signal. Every step you take without permission is a message to every silent witness, still trying to remember who they were before the world told them to shrink. You are proof. That power can be rebuilt from ashes. That silence can be sharpened into a blade. That permission is just a myth we stop believing in the moment we wake the hell up. And that sound you're hearing behind you, those aren't footsteps. That's not applause. That's a system crumbling from the inside out, because it just realized you didn't need it. You never did. And now, everyone's watching. Even the ones pretending they're not, especially the ones panicking in private. Because the moment you moved without permission, you gave them all something terrifying to believe in. Say nothing. Keep moving. They'll feel it. They always do. Well, well, well. Look at you. The ghost they swore would never rise again. The glitch they tried to patch. But now you're the update that corrupted the whole system. Tell me, what does it feel like to breathe while they're suffocating on the ashes of their own history? Because let's be clear, this wasn't an explosion. No, no, no. This was a surgical burn, silent, precise, one single move, and you erased everything they spent decades building. Their credibility, ash. Their name, just echoes bouncing off empty rooms. Their empire, melted by the heat of your evolution. You didn't yell, you didn't warn, you moved, and the air changed. They thought you were just a chapter they skipped. But baby, you were the page that burned the whole damn book. Their resumes, their awards, their bloodline nameplates, all soaked in gasoline the moment they disrespected you. And you lit the match with a grin so crooked, it rewrote the fable. You're not the villain, you're not the hero, you're the plot twist that made the audience scream. They thought they had your algorithm decoded, but your DNA ain't written in logic. It's laced with prophecy, tainted with vengeance, designed by paradox, a saint with a blade, an angel with a vendetta, a storm in stillness, a whisper that destroys kingdoms. And you never needed a crowd. They needed witnesses to validate their power. You needed none. Your silence was the press release. Your exit, a mass extinction event. Now look at them. Hiding in group chats, panicking behind private emails, calling emergency meetings about a ghost, plotting new narratives while the old ones are still burning. And what are you doing? Breathing, smiling, not even looking back. Because when you move, entire timelines collapse. They tried to bury you in paperwork. You turned it into confetti at your coronation. They tried to clip your wings. You grew fangs. Let's talk psychology. They were addicted to your obedience. They drank from the illusion that they broke you. But you played dead, long enough to build your resurrection in silence. You didn't bounce back. You reassembled yourself with rage as glue and purpose as armor. You didn't heal. You hardened. They thought pain would make you crack. But you became pressure incarnate. You turned trauma into traction. You weaponized the very thing that was meant to destroy you. And here's the twist they'll never recover from. You didn't even aim at them. You just leveled up. And that alone was enough to make their whole foundation implode. They built their image on shaky ground. You walked by, and the gravity of your presence triggered the landslide. You moved on, and they've been moving backward ever since. You blinked, and their reality glitched. Because they weren't afraid of your revenge. They were afraid of your becoming. They weren't scared you'd talk. They were terrified you'd thrive. They didn't silence you to stop pain. They silenced you because you are proof that survival is ugly, loud, and unstoppable. See, they only know how to win when it's rigged. You mastered chaos. You trained in darkness. You earned your PhD in pain while they were still obsessed with optics. They wore masks. You became one. They showed up for applause. You showed up to rewrite the laws of reality. And now, their reputation is smoke. Their history is glitched. Their empire is a footnote under your silence. Let them panic. Let them meet in shadows. Let them whisper your name like it's a fucking curse. Because it is. You are the consequence they never calculated. One move. That's all it took. Not a war, not a speech, not even a warning. Just you. Unbothered, unshaken, unapologetically reborn. And now their entire past is on fire. Because the present belongs to you. And the future, well, let's just say it's waiting for your next move. With fear in its bones and respect in its silence. They're still searching for the how. Still asking, what did they do? Who helped them? Where did they go? But the truth, you didn't go anywhere. You just stopped playing by the script they wrote for your silence. They spent years designing rooms you were never supposed to enter. And now they're locking doors that no longer exist. Because you moved. And the architecture of their fantasy shattered. You breathed. And their illusions choked to death. You're not a story. You're a virus in their mythos. An error code in their tradition. A glitch in the God complex. They used to feel taller than you. They wanted order. But you were born to weaponize chaos. You didn't even need revenge. Revenge is personal. You went global, one evolution from you. And their entire timeline got classified as fiction. They built their power on assumption. You shattered it with a new identity they never had access to. You made them irrelevant without even mentioning their names. That's power. Not when you destroy them, but when they destroy themselves, trying to figure out how you didn't need them. They're rewriting history right now. Right this second. Holding emergency meetings with PR teams, trying to pretend you were never there, that you were a phase, a problem, a glitch. But you know what's funny? The only reason their timeline even existed was because you played along. You held your power in. You let them pretend. You played small to keep the peace. And now that you've stopped pretending, they're vanishing. Because here's the bitter truth. They weren't real without you. You were the gravity. You were the algorithm. You were the oxygen in that ecosystem. You didn't just burn the bridge. You flooded the blueprint and laughed while they begged for floaties. They thought you needed their legacy, but legacy means nothing when the future kneels to your presence. They used their history like a weapon. You turned it into kindling, a single spark, and whoosh, centuries of ego went up in smoke. You didn't destroy their reputation, they did. by betting against someone who evolved inside fire. You ever seen someone try to hide a panic attack behind a PowerPoint? You ever seen grown leaders speak in code because you became their ghost story? You ever seen them walk into rooms scared to say your name because they don't know if it'll summon a response or a reckoning? That's you now. You're not just a person. You're an event, a phenomenon, a turning point, a glitch in their reality matrix that made every lie they ever told unstable. And they're watching you now, more than ever, in silence, in fear, studying, analyzing, decoding, trying to reverse engineer your one move, as if there's some formula to divinity forged in damage. But there's no pattern, no playbook, no repeat button. Because you didn't evolve to win. You evolved to erase the scoreboard. You became something outside their system, something that doesn't compute, something that glitches their analysis every time they hit play. You didn't just walk away. You became the smoke they choke on. You didn't just let it go. You let it burn. With a smile so quiet, they hear it in their sleep. Their power was never real. It was borrowed, stolen, rented from the fear they installed in people like you. But once you turned that fear inward, once you made fear afraid of you, that entire rental collapsed, so now they cling to ashes, try to tape their image back together, scrub the internet, erase the footage. But the problem is, you left smoke trails in every algorithm. Their erasure attempts, just more evidence of your fire. You turned their silence into suspicion. You turned their PR into paranoia. And every time you don't speak, it's louder than every speech they've ever paid for. That's the art of power they'll never grasp. The most terrifying thing you can do is move without warning, without noise, and without apology. Because now they know. You never needed permission. You never needed the seat. You were the fucking table. One move, no threats, no drama, just velocity, just clarity, just you. Becoming the version they prayed would never return. And now they're left with nothing but history they're too ashamed to mention, and a future they know they'll never be invited to again. You see, they knew what you were, long before you did. That's why they tried so hard to keep you distracted, with validation, with guilt, with constructive criticism drenched in jealousy. Because they weren't trying to help you improve. They were trying to slow down the fucking meteor. But how do you negotiate with something that was built in silence and programmed to detonate without warning? Every smile they gave you, calculated, every opportunity, a leash in disguise, every "we're proud of you," just noise to keep your blade dull. They didn't want you sharp, they wanted you manageable, but that version of you, gone, buried, dissolved in pressure. You're not even the same species anymore. You are something they don't have language for, and that's what's driving them mad. Because their systems, they're built to label, contain, rank, define, predict. But you shattered the algorithm. You became a variable they can't measure. One move, one silent, calculated, unemotional pivot. And suddenly their entire identity is in question. They used to speak your name like a warning. Now they whisper it like a confession. Not because they respect you, but because they're scared they underestimated something divine, something ancient, something birthed from betrayal and baptized in exile. Because you didn't just escape. You evolved so hard it rewrote the meaning of escape. You became the exception that broke their narrative in half. And now, every time they try to retell the story, your ghost shows up in the margins. You haunt their timeline, not with threats, but with truth. That's the real horror for them. You didn't go rogue. You didn't lose control. You found clarity. And clarity? isn't loud, it's surgical, it's lethal. It doesn't need approval. It deletes the need for approval entirely. Your absence, it's a headline now. Your silence, a pressurized broadcast, and they're scrambling to fill the void you left with people who look the part, but can't survive the weight. Because here's the thing, they could mimic your style, your tone, even your scars, but they'll never recreate the energy that only comes from surviving betrayal in plain sight. They hate you for it, but they study you. Because whether they admit it or not, you've become a curriculum. The network you broke now uses you as a warning to the rookies. The same people who laughed at you behind closed doors now call meetings to decipher how you're still winning without them. And every time you don't react, every time you ignore their bait, every time you choose precision over pettiness, you burn another piece of their history. Let's talk legacy. Because that's what this was always about, wasn't it? They wanted their names carved in marble, but you tattooed your presence into the collective unconscious. They wanted to be remembered, but you made them unforgettable. For the wrong reasons. And what's worse, you never had to drag them down. You simply rose higher than their lies could reach. You didn't expose them, you outlived them. And now they exist in the same way smoke does, visible only when there's fire. And guess who controls the flame now? You didn't just make a move, you became the move. A walking anomaly, a timeline disruption, a rupture in their reality that refuses to seal. Because every win you collect, every new level you break through, every time you evolve and don't look back, it reopens the wound they tried to suture shut with propaganda. You're not just ahead, you're unreachable, not because they're weak, but because you've become untouchable in dimension. They operate in perception, you operate in truth. They chase applause, you chase alignment. They market personas. You survived as a force, and now they're stuck in nostalgia, trying to rebuild what never really existed, clinging to the illusion that they mattered more than your breakthrough. But you know better now. You see through the curtain and behind it. Just scared little architects trying to sketch gods out of glass. You're not made of glass. You're made of data, damage, and decisions they can't predict. You are what happens when the wrong person gets pushed too far, and the result isn't chaos. It's clarity at nuclear strength. You weren't just underestimated. You were misunderstood by design, and now the design is gone. The blueprint, ash, the hierarchy, evaporated, and the only thing left is the silence they can't survive. Because it's not you they're afraid of anymore. It's what you proved was possible. You see, it was never about what you did. It was about who you became when they thought they'd broken you. That's the part they can't erase. The part that refuses to stay buried. Because they designed the system to collapse anyone who didn't kneel. But you knelt once, only to launch yourself like a fecking missile. They thought pain would quiet you, but instead you translated pain into code. And now, you're rewriting the simulation from inside the firewall. Do you understand how terrifying that is for them? That their best bet was you staying small, that their only chance was your uncertainty. They didn't want you gone, they wanted you doubtful. Because a version of you that questions everything, that hesitates, that waits for permission, that's a version they can control. But the version that saw through the mask, the version that doesn't need their language, their labels, their ladders, that version is lethal. You didn't just leave the building, you imploded the illusion of the building's power. Now, every brick they stand on feels like it's about to sink into memory. Because it is. Let's talk about memory. Because their biggest mistake wasn't what they did to you. It was forgetting who you were while you remembered everything. Every slight, every smirk, every meeting they didn't invite you to, every fake applause, every backhanded compliment disguised as feedback. You collected it. You didn't react. You recorded, silently, effortlessly. And now, you don't even have to expose them. Their behavior is exposing itself. You became a mirror, and they can't look. Because when they see you now, they don't just see you. They see what they failed to kill, what they tried to contain, what they thought they understood. They thought pain made people weaker. You turned it into armor-plated intuition. They thought betrayal made people bitter. You turned it into strategy. They thought abandonment would leave you broken, but it only left you wild and unpredictable. And no system survives unpredictability. That's the part they'll never recover from. Not the move you made, not the exit, but the fact that you became an anomaly, that you bent reality in full view without a meltdown, without an explanation, without a press release. You just moved. And now the timelines split. The world where you stayed small, gone, dead, erased, because you didn't pivot, you mutated. And the mutation? Oh, it's contagious. People are watching you now. Not because you told your story, but because they felt the power in your silence. You're waking up minds they worked years to keep sedated. You're showing people what happens when you outgrow the cage so violently that the cage becomes ashamed it ever existed. They see it, they fear it, but they'll never admit it. So instead, they spin, they distort, they blame your audacity, your tone, your change. But deep down, they know. They built the storm and handed you the lightning bolt, and now you carry it in your chest like a heartbeat made of fire. So let them talk, let them meet, let them type their little damage control drafts. None of it matters anymore, because the real destruction wasn't your exit. It was the realization that everything they built was only powerful until you chose to walk away. One move, and entire decades of image, legacy, authority, gone. Just like that. Not because you shouted, not because you exposed, but because you evolved, because you became the one thing they can't defend against, the truth that moves without permission. And now, they don't just fear you, they study you, they predict you, they obsess over you, because they know you'll never move the same way twice. You'll never fit the algorithm. You'll never return to the box. You've outgrown containment itself. You're not a rebel. You're not a survivor. You're not even a legend. You're the lesson they pray their replacements never meet. But guess what? You don't bury something that burns from the inside out. You don't silence something that was born in soundproof suffering. You don't kill a force of nature. You just delay the reckoning. You see, when you made that move, when you walked out, leveled up, disappeared into evolution, they didn't lose a pawn. They lost the glitch that could have overwritten the whole F-secking kingdom. Because it was never a job, never a role, never a title. It was your very presence that held everything together. And the second you stepped off that stage, the entire production collapsed. They thought you were just another player. But you were the electricity in the whole damn circuit board, the unspoken power source, the shadow logic, the quiet current that kept it all running while they mocked you from podiums. And when that current vanished, when you vanished, the lights didn't just go out. They started sparking fires in rooms they can't enter anymore. Now they're left staring at the ruins. But here's the real tragedy for them. They can't even publicly blame you. Because if they do, they admit you had that kind of power to begin with. And if they admit that, every narrative, every manipulation, every ego-driven system they built, crumbles in front of witnesses. So instead, they whisper, they gaslight, they twist timelines, rewrite minutes, alter transcripts. They call you difficult, unstable, overhyped, but only when they're sure you're not in the room, because in reality, you broke their chain of command without ever raising your voice. You flipped the hierarchy by walking away so decisively, they started questioning their own titles. That's the kind of danger they'll never understand. Not someone who fights for position, but someone who erases the scoreboard entirely. They built their identity on the belief that you needed them. But your one move proved something far darker. They were never even in the fucking equation. They were the distraction, the noise, the white static you had to meditate through just to hear your own voice. And when you finally heard it, you vanished like a spell had been broken, and now they're trying to replicate you with copies, mimics, puppets on strings. But the puppets don't move the same, because they weren't made in hellfire and humiliation. They weren't cast in silence and forged through secret grief. They don't have your timing, your venom, your patience, your blueprint of pain. And that's the ingredient they can't manufacture. Because you didn't come from approval. You came from annihilation. And still, you didn't lash out. You didn't return with rage. You didn't beg to be heard. You simply existed louder. And that alone, that was the death blow. Because you weren't supposed to outlive the smear. You weren't supposed to get stronger after exile. You weren't supposed to glow after isolation. But you did, and they saw it. And now they can't unsee it. They can try to pretend you were never the core. But that lie doesn't land when they keep circling your ghost like satellites around a collapsed star. That's the thing about a power like yours. You don't announce it. It just happens. And when it does, it reshapes the terrain forever. You walk away, and buildings tilt. You breathe different, and systems glitch. You speak once, and truths start peeling back their own skin. They can't follow you anymore, because you stopped walking. You started ascending. And ascension can't be audited. They still check the door sometimes, still peek out the window, still monitor the timelines like you might come back and finish the job. But the truth is, you already did. The job was never destruction. The job was becoming undeniable. And now, they live in the fallout of a single choice, one pivot, one silence, one breath of yours that flipped the entire simulation into its mirror dimension. You became a paradox, too quiet to control, too loud to ignore, too calm to predict, too dangerous to provoke. They don't know whether to pray you forget or beg you remember. Because in both scenarios, they lose something. You weren't just the change. You were the cost of staying the same. And now, their entire legacy is just smoke rising from the wreckage of the story they tried to write without you.